Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Erin Campbell.
Happy Preview Day.
Reuben Bressler.
Hey, what's up? Do you think we have enough for a show?
I'm not sure. Not a lot happened this past week. You know,
Yeah.
It's fine. It's whatever. It's been an incredible past 7 days, I think, in a whole variety of ways.
Oh, man. I knew it was going to be good. I always know it's going to be a good episode when people tweeted us and say, like, do you have enough to talk about? Or, you know, this one's going to be a doozy. Or I hope you got some rest.
Goodness gracious. We also get started with our trumpet blast, but you can get one if you support us our highest level on Patreon. Don't got one, but we kick it off with the first pick and the giveaway. Exclamation mark raffle. After you hit that sub, spend those Bezos bucks because you'll get 2 entries for a $50 gift certificate to CoolStuffInc.com. Exclamation mark raffle in the chat.
Correct
Subscribe.
order of operations is subscribe first, enter
And then
after for a chance to double dip, essentially.
Okay. So, as is wont to do these days, everything is happening all the time. M21 is happening right now. Mm-hmm. But remember, the instant we're over M21, we're going to go right into Jumpstart. Like, it's just going to come barreling down the pike. And I am super, super stoked about that product. But we got to get rolling here with our M21 preview, hashtag sponsored. This is a free preview from Wizards of the Coast.
Thank you, Wizards of the Coast. Hashtag sponsored, hashtag free preview. They remember us and they like us.
Evan came out of his room.
It's true.
Well, this one is a card that originally showed up in Magic Origins. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, this is the only copy of that card that was printed then. It was a rare at that point, but we have downshifted it. In fact, it is one of the only 2 cards in the entire game that has the word Vryn in its name.
It's also a tongue twister. Try saying it 3 times fast. It's surprisingly difficult.
I will do that right now as I tell you what our preview card is. Are you ready?
Go for it.
Yep.
Vryn Wingmare, Vryn Wingmare, Vryn Wingmare.
Really? I had a hard time with it. Vryn
Wingmare.
See, I can't Vryn.
It sounds like a moped.
So Vryn Wingmare, for those who don't know, is a white and 2 generic mana for a 2/1 now uncommon creature Pegasus. It has flying, and non-creature spells cost 1 generic more to cast.
Yeah. So this is, you know, White's thing tends to be death and taxes, making you pay extra for things. You know, we've seen it on Thalia. We've seen it on Peacekeeper, I think is the card. Glow Rider was
Glow Rider was the original.
And so every once in a while, you know, we see something with a taxing effect stuck on it at uncommon, which is pretty nifty.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
A good downshift, a very solid card. I mean, it's seen some amount of play in Legacy Death and Taxes, you know, in formats in which those sort of hate bear strategies are functional. This is a serviceable hate bear with some evasion, which is, you know, not something that you see all the time. Usually your hate bears have their hate and their bears, and then they get blocked by 0/4 walls or whatever. Now, this, on the other hand, able to do more.
Yeah, the sort of the first barrier was Glow Rider is the exact same mana cost, exact same power and toughness, same ability, but this one had flying, and this one goes from rare to uncommon. And it you know, Glow Rider kind of has its space in Magic history as it was there first.
Glow Rider also a human, right? So
still sees Legacy and or Vintage play. Yeah, there's some people out there that just love nothing more than to waste you and make you pay extra for things.
Wow. All right. Well, one more time here on the screen, Vryn Wingmare is our official preview from M21. Thank you, Wizards, for the
Vryn
Wingmare.
This is why I'm the voiceover and y'all. I'm the talent.
He's the talent. We pay him for the voiceover.
But
and the hair.
What do we need to pay him to brush his hair? That's the question.
No, this costs extra. You only get this if you pay the Beekman's World bonus.
Oh, jeez.
So with so much to talk about it, we want to go over a few cards from M21 that we really appreciated and or liked or wanted to talk about for some reason or other. I'll go ahead and throw up my 3 selections first. We'll go over them card one by one. The first is Grim Tutor. from starter 99.
Wow.
A $200-ish to $150-ish card, depending on where you got it. It is 2 black, 1 generic mana for a mythic sorcery. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. You lose 3 life.
Wow.
I was hearing the rumblings on this thing being reprinted for a while, and I was like, yeah, right, whatever. I'm like, but ultimately, it seems fine in our unbelievably powerful standard environment. Like, seems okay.
Gorgeous art by Igor Kirluk, who's tends to be one of those artists that you go to when you want scary things, and he doesn't disappoint with this one. There's also some alternate art by Antonio Manzanito, I believe, that is also gorgeous as well. Just a really, really nice, a lot of good reprints in this set, and this one being one of them.
Already up on Mythic Spoiler and on MTG Nexus, it looks like.
Nice, thank you.
Good job, guys. Good job. Way to stay on top of it. Very nice. My next option here is Sparkhunter Masticore. It is a 3 generic mana, rare from M21. It is a 3/4 artifact Masticore. Okay, artifact creature Masticore. As an additional cost to cast the spell, discard a card. Okay, so there's the Masticore discard thing.
There's the Masticore bit.
Protection from Teferi. I'm sorry, protection from Planeswalkers is what I meant to say there. 1 generic mana colon. It deals 1 damage to target Planeswalker. 3 generic mana colon. It gains indestructible until end of turn. This thing could help run the format.
They're really going after Planeswalkers in this set, which kind of makes sense because usually you'll see them print answers to things after the sets. In this case, very Planeswalker heavy sets. There are quite a few cards in here that deal specifically with Planeswalkers. There's also a lot of discard in this set, which doesn't surprise me that there's a good amount of graveyard hate as well, because there are so many things that just incidentally let you discard a card, and you don't want that getting out of control. I mean, I do, but...
Protection from Planeswalkers is a heck of a line of text. Remains to be seen if it will actually run the format, because this is a card that the only thing that it does when it comes into play is it makes you discard a card. So if you're judging it on its ability to either be a Muldrifter or a Baneslayer Angel, this is a Baneslayer Angel to the max, in that you're just down if they immediately Lava Coil it.
Well, we did also get that accumulated knowledge reprint, and so if you have to discard a card, well...
Yeah, there's plenty of good stuff to discard.
But the accumulated the knowledge thing only counts your graveyard, not all graveyards.
Not
every but you're still discarding a card that you can put in your graveyard.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And that's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. And, this is also a card that they previewed. We got to all kind of freak out about how powerful this thing is, and Grasp of Darkness is back, and there's a red spell that deals damage and removes indestructibility.
It's fine.
It's totally fine. We need stopgaps in the format. Lastly, I want to talk about Chandra's Incinerator. This is part of
this card.
This card's amazing. This card is part of the vertical cycle of Chandra's stuff in M21. Every single Planeswalker has a whole line of cards that are related to them and spells and stuff that they cast. Chandra's Incinerator is a red and 5 generic mana, but you're never going to pay that much for it. It is a 6/6 rare elemental. It costs X generic mana less to cast, where X is the total amount of non-combat damage dealt to your opponents this turn. It has trample for some god-awful reason. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker that player controls. This card is bananas.
This card's great.
Bananas.
I love this card.
You only need medium scenarios for this to be like 2 to 3 mana. Like, it doesn't take a lot. It really does.
I'm not even a burn player, and I can think of ways to exploit this.
Yeah.
And once it's out on the battlefield, your bolts are shocking everything.
Angler for red. Like we have a Tassiger now. We have a 1 mana. What is this? A 5/6? Like we have a
6/6 trample.
6/6. Yeah, it's absurd. This is very easy to get going. You just have permanents in play, things like Cavalcade of Calamity and Scorch Spitter, and even like a Prodigal Pyromancer style effect. You don't need to do a whole lot in order for this to be good.
Yeah, so a few burn spells here and there, and
Magma Angler. Thank you. Thanks,
I like
Tony.
that.
Good job.
That's very nice. So, Reuben, tell us about the cards you chose and why.
I chose some cards that just make me smile for various reasons. The first one is Elder Gargaroth, which is the latest entry into my Questing Beast mono green pile of abilities tribal EDH deck.
My Capital deck might want this.
Yeah, there's a million words on this card, and they are it's a 6/6 for 5 beast mythic from M21, first of all. Now, if I left the text box empty and printed this card 20 years ago, there would be a downside. If you've ever seen like Jotol Worm or any of the other big green creatures from back in the day. But no. Instead, we have Vigilance, Reach, Trample, and whenever Elder Gargaroth attacks or blocks, choose one. Create a 3/3 green beast, gain 3 life, or draw a card.
Green is a lot of card draw.
Yeah,
remember Spiritmonger? You might remember Spiritmonger?
Yes.
Green's better than black at card draw at this point, in my opinion. Also,
amazing.
this one's a great entry into, wait, that thing has reach, which is going to draw you a lot of cards and kill a lot of Baneslayer Angels, so that's going to be a lot of fun for me.
I think the number one, that has reach, is Stonecoil Serpent. I have gotten so many people with that card.
The 4/4 Cyclops for 4 from the last core set is my, that has reach?
I got caught by the multicolored clause. I had Dread Returned an Ashen Rider thinking that I was going to exile it, and I was like, protection from multicolored. Whoops.
This is, and also the creature itself is just as pushed as they can possibly make it.
Yeah.
Wizards is trying to answer this question of, if it doesn't affect the board,
right,
how good do we have to make it so you'll play it?
Right, because the funny thing is, the joke is, it's Vigilance, Reach, Trample, and then choose one. It either gets bounced by Teferi, bounced by Brazen Borrower, or killed by a black spell.
Yeah.
Or exiled by Elspeth, conquers death. Right, those are your 3 options. So when you play this thing and it feels so good and they just immediately just murder the thing, okay, but at the same time, when they have a Baneslayer and you slam this down, they have to have it. Otherwise, you're just going to run them over with this giant monster of a card.
Robber of the Rich has reach for no reason. That's a good one.
I love that one. That's funny, right? Because he's an archer or whatever.
Yeah, because he's an archer.
Climbs walls, I think.
Yep.
You got a whale coming up next?
I got a whale coming up. Towards thee I roll, thou all-destroying but unconquering whale. To the last I grapple with thee, from hell's heart I stab at thee. For hate's sake I spit my last breath at thee. I definitely love the Captain Ahab white whale reference. It just makes me happy that they do all these weird literary references, and it makes me happy that this is a card now.
Mm-hmm. What does it do?
What does it do?
So, who cares? But it's it's an 8/8 for 7 mana. It is a whale. It's a rare. And when Pursued Whale enters the battlefield, each opponent creates a 1/1 red pirate creature token with this creature can't block, and creatures you control attack each turn if able, which is hilarious because it's like a downside for your opponent. And spells your opponents cast that target Pursued Whale cost 3 more to cast. So it's kind of tough to deal with.
Yeah.
It's a giant monster, but the flavor is so amazing.
Yes.
And in limited, this is a giant bomb because you're going to make them attack into your 8/8 and everything else that you have on the board. Right. So that's incredible. But the idea that essentially it's sort of making the Ahab character that wants to hunt down the whale, and hunting the whale's a thing, and he kind of goes crazy and he makes everybody else go crazy and attack it too. Totally love it. The flavor is absolutely off the charts.
Wonderful.
And I think it's great.
And I hope that they print you know how we have the Godzilla with the real name underneath it? I hope they do that with this card.
Now you know they can't put that on a Magic card.
They can. No. It's in the public domain.
No,
Wizards, it's okay.
They couldn't put that word on a Magic card for the alteration purposes.
I alone couldn't deal with it. Do you know
Richard! Moby Richard.
Moby Richard, everyone. Goodness. So what's your last card here?
My last card is just a very good boy.
He's a good boy.
That's
the best boy.
He is the best boy. We have so many good dogs, and all dogs are good dogs. Mm-hmm. And this one is one of the best dogs. And it's Pack Leader. It's a colorless and a white for a 2/2 dog creature. Other dogs you control get +1/+1. When Pack Leader attacks, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn to dogs you control.
This is the Fog Dog.
Wow. It is a Fog Dog.
Thank you, House of Cards. That was a good one.
This card...
You gotta read that flavor text, though. It's just...
He will be your loyal champion, and his pack your protectors. All he asks for is a full belly, a spot by the fire, and all the love in your
same,
heart.
to be honest.
Yeah. This is a dope lord, y'all.
It's really cool
really
lord.
Good
Reminds
lord.
me of the Sun-Crested Horde, the horse.
Except for that was 5 mana.
Yeah.
This is like, you go Isamaru, play this attack for 3.
Yeah.
That's Kithkin, is what that is. That's
Yeah,
a good dog.
I think Wizards would love to have a dog type deck archetype that is viable. That ability is no joke. That lets you just swing with impunity every single turn. You're not worried about anything but maybe removal spells or whatever.
It's a Dolmen Gate on a doggo, which is great.
Which is very cool. All right, Erin, what you got?
Well, now it's time to talk about some unfair things. My first card, I mean, the art. Like, I have to start with the art because it is so grotesque and hideous and brilliant. The first card I want to talk about is Peer into the Abyss. So Peer into the Abyss is 4 colorless and 3 black. It is a sorcery. It says target player draws cards equal to half the number of cards in their library and loses half their life rounded up each time. So I've seen some discussions about this card in Storm. It's not hard for them to cast a lot of rituals and get 7 mana. And so I've seen some discussions about, do you want this versus Bolas's Citadel versus tutoring for exactly what you need. The art on this is terrifying. Art by Izzy. So you see this elf, I guess, this dark elf. And then like the eyes have been replaced by this head and the mouth. And then you realize if you look really closely at the skin stretched around the big head, you're looking at a zoomed in version of the, so it doesn't end. It just keeps happening. Flavor text by Braids. We're seeing a lot of fan favorites come back here, like Braids and Kervek and Joel Rael, and so it's really nice to see Braids on here with some not so subtle flavor text. But this art just ugh.
This is a somewhat play on Salvador Dali's The Face of War, which has like little faces inside the eye, eye sockets, faces inside the eye, sockets and stuff.
I did not
so
know
check
that.
out that if you're
They've been
interested
doing
about
a lot
that.
of eye things lately. Croxa was the same way, where like if you look really closely at Croxa, it's just all mouths. Like
creepy stuff. This is one of those like it costs 1 million mana. It does something crazy. Maybe it'll get there. It seems super sweet. I like it.
This would be a card I would play on Commander, like just an over the top 7 drop that you may not win, but damn it, you're gonna feel something.
There you go. So tell us about this Gobbo.
So you wouldn't expect me to be the one talking about goblins. This is normally Reuben's purview, but I do have a Pashalik Mons deck. I am dating a goblins player, and so I have gotten into the goblins lately. And so this card came out this morning and immediately took over Twitter. It's called Conspicuous Snoop. So it's 2 red. It's a creature type goblin rogue with 2 power, 2 toughness. Play with the top card of your library revealed. So it has this future sight kind of ability. You may cast goblin spells from the top of your library. Now, if I'm understanding this correctly, this counts for does this count for changelings and goblin tribal? Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That too.
And then as long as the top card of your library is a goblin, Conspicuous Snoop has all activated abilities of that card, which is really just kind of gravy. A lot of talk of combos in both Modern and Legacy that you can do with this. It's possible to win on turn 3, perhaps.
Yep.
I'm really excited about this for EDH because Goblin Recruiter is actually legal in that format. So being able to just stack your deck exactly the way that you want to. I don't want to go infinite necessarily, but I do want to have a good time, and I can absolutely do it with this card.
Right, because the combo is you play this, and then you play the Harbinger, the Goblin
Harbinger, which is 2 colorless and a black for a 2/1 from Lorwyn.
Yeah, that goes and finds a goblin, puts it on top of your deck. So then you go pick Kiki Jiki that has the ability to tap for target non-legendary creature, which means you can tap itself now to copy itself. So you make 1 million of those.
Because the Snoop itself isn't legendary. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And then you use Harbinger to go find a Mog Fanatic, and then
you sacrifice.
Use the last one to make a copy of the Harbinger. Go get Mog Fanatic on top, and then sack them all to kill.
Yeah,
your
people
opponent.
were trying to make goblins a thing for a while. Every time Modern Horizons came out, and then people were like, maybe we have enough toys. And there is one person in particular named Goblin Lackey who is devoted to. He's like me, but with goblins and specifically Legacy, and he lost his mind. And so, if you are somebody who enjoys Legacy goblins or just goblins in general, you should absolutely follow him on Twitter because anytime a goblin comes out, he's brewing with it, and he's up to some good stuff.
Even outside the combo, this is just a great Goblin 2-drop.
Yeah,
I'm most excited for this for Historic, where there is a dearth of good 2-drop goblins, in my opinion. The best 2-drop you have in goblins in Historic is Goblin Instigator, which makes a 1/1. And then you've got Crater Maker, which is okay, and then you've got
Ember Hauler is fine.
Ember Hauler's fine, but it doesn't get cheaper off of War Chief.
Right.
It's okay. Crater Maker's good. Zertog Goblin makes you splash green. This, though, card advantage. You never like the Goblins decks already want to have 1,000,000 mana. They're already playing 25 lands because you're playing Ringleaders, you're playing Matrons, you're playing a bunch of heavy mana cost things. So this, being an experimental frenzy just for Goblins, is perfect.
Yeah, is kind of ridiculous. I mean, this is the type of card that I think as we get older, as Magic rolls on, there's going to be more and more times where they put an ability on a card that doesn't seem that crazy, as it were, but it just like breaks 7 cards in half. Like we're just gonna kind of get to there eventually. I feel.
I like this card that it sort of combines the effects of Skill Borrower and Experimental Frenzy and other cards like that in a tribal way that is not broken. It seems.
So tell us about this last card, Erin.
So this card really, really excites me, again, because of the art. It's Obsessive Stitcher. So Obsessive Stitcher is 1 colorless, a blue and a black. She's a human wizard with 0 power and 3 toughness. You can tap her to loot. You can draw a card and discard a card. Or you can pay 2 colorless, a blue and a black, and tap it and sacrifice her to return a creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. I want to talk about this art for a second, because not only do we have, people are calling her like Necromantic Grandma or things like that. If you look really closely, that's her arm.
That's her arm.
Like, look at there. You'll notice that her arm is a stump. There's a bandage covering
I
it.
really like putting bits of myself into my
You'll notice that the hand is flesh-colored as compared to the rest of the thing that she's stitching. And the artist actually is on Twitter. Somebody tagged him. I was gushing about this on Twitter. Somebody tagged him, and I got the chance to ask him, was this your idea or was this in the art direction? And he said that was in the art direction.
Nice.
I'm just like, how brilliant is that to see this sweet older lady cut off her own arm to do this, or her own hand, or her own wrist. It's just,
that's the gangrene granny.
Yeah, this will absolutely be me in 30 years. It just
This is like, this is Erin's invitational card. It's looting. It's bringing things back. It has amazing artwork. It's super crazy creepy. I absolutely love it. But we got to keep moving on here to gather the townsfolk.
Yeah, because there's actual news.
No more fun stuff.
It's time to be a little serious. Zaiem, longtime content creator, was the editor at Channel Fireball for a very long time. Has been in the content game essentially, for
longer than I have.
Yeah, if not, I think almost as long or longer than me, something like that. Either way, put up a post on June 8th. This was just 2 days ago. Where he noted that Wizards of the Coast purports to be inclusive and diverse, when in reality they have a long history of racially discriminatory behavior, including avoiding accountability through a culture of secrecy and fear. Wrote a Google Doc, and it's interesting these days. We're getting a lot more articles that are Google Docs, which I thought was kind of neat.
Well,
have you seen that trend?
Talking about something like this,
would you have published this?
Exactly.
No,
like if you
because
feel
it's important that we want, and I'm not saying like it's not. Let me back this up.
And also, it
would have been a weird
it's
conversation.
not like Tom Lapilli and Gavin Verhey have their blogs anymore. You know what I mean? So like, it's a Google Doc world.
Right. And, essentially there were a few situations that were brought up here, particularly, for example, Invoke Justice, which is one of the most racist cards, not even close, in Magic, and how it has the multiverse idea of 1488 because that matters to terrible white supremacists for reasons I don't want to explain. But
and
the point
artist is a literal Nazi. And
literal Nazi.
Around, if you go on his website, there is some disturbing imagery there.
It's bad and it's ugly and it's gross. And Wizards has known about this. I found a Reddit thread from 2013, 7 years ago. We talked about it probably 9 or 10 years ago.
Didn't he recently try to show up at like GP Seattle and like establish a table and they were like, no girl, and like walked him out?
That happened.
Good. Because, this is a terrible coincidence and somebody did the math and showed it. It's just like, yes, it sucks. And, card 666 is the unlimited lich or whatever.
Right.
But like, this is a thing that you could devote some time to fix. Well, they devoted the time to fix it. To kind of jump a little bit ahead, this evening, Wizards, let me see if I can find the link here. Wizards posted an update that they are going to remove certain cards from the Gatherer database, the images, including Invoke Prejudice, and ban 7 cards as a result of those that are related in any way to being racially charged in some manner. That in and of itself is pretty incredible.
So they got rid of Invoke Prejudice, Cleanse, Stone Throwing Devils,
Prudish Gypsies.
Jihad, Imprison, and Crusade. They're getting a lot of flack for this, either from people who feel like, I mean, there are the people out there that aren't going to get it and think this is cringe or whatever, but there are also people like Rich Shay who identify as being either Middle Eastern or being Arabic or some degree of that take particular offense to them getting rid of Jihad. And they're saying, like, did you ask the people involved in this? Did you ask the people of this origin, how they feel about this? And so there is an opinion that they did go overboard as an attempt to overcompensate for their lack of action through the years.
Right.
And so it'll be, and they've also indicated that they're not done, that they are going to be doing a thorough review of a lot of cards and determining whether these cards still have a place in our game or not.
I would rather they overreact than underreact. And so, while I'm a little confused at Crusade, which was in a dual deck recently, and, I understand that Jihad doesn't mean what it has been, its modern last 5 years definition or last 15 years definition is not what it is. I am more in favor of them hedging on the side of more action like this than less.
I wouldn't mind if they were doing more and they had done their homework on it, but this feels a little hasty. Like, I don't feel like they consulted with the right people, and so that's why I'm a little unsure about that. I mean, Invoke Prejudice needed to go, and no one's disagreeing with that. But
no one's arguing. Let's keep that in here.
I do feel like it was just sort of. They just kind of had this attitude of, like, get it done.
There was a Twitter thread that I read earlier today that I'm forgetting who wrote.
Probably Rich Shay, I'm guessing, but
no, it was someone I hadn't heard of before and someone I don't follow. I think it was retweeted. You know what? I'm not going to go look it up right now, but I think it was retweeted by Ristic Studies.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
where the history of the cards, that the specific reasons why those cards were chosen to have this new asterisk gatherer page put up. And why specifically? For example, the history behind Stone Throwing Devils, which I know a lot of people were like, "Why? What's wrong with that?" Or I'd never even heard of the card Imprison. Mm-hmm. I understand. There we go. Merfolk Magic is the thread writer, and gave a lot better context and history as to why they were chosen and the specific problematic nature of the cards. And so I get the reasoning. And once again, I'm happy for these things to go through and be done quickly and decisively, and then later have more conversations and say, what else? What other cards do we need to look at? What other bits of our own history? Because this is all Wizards of the Coast listening.
But this is also very token Wizards. This is Wizards possibly not involving the very people that have been affected by this.
Sure.
And so it's I think Shivam, our friend Shivam, had made a thread about this, and he was like, a lot of the things that we're seeing are just sort of naive in a way, where it's like, you feel that they're like, look, we're helping. And it's like, but did you actually, consider the people who use these words and like
Sure.
Jihad, and did you consider the meaning there? Or was it just a room full of white people that were like, we did a good thing today, where it was like, it seems very much like Wizards to do something like
Sure.
this.
So the next step, because like they said, they're not done, is talk to Shivam, talk to Zaiem, talk to
Lawrence Harmon, for God's sake.
Lawrence, talk to Elia
please.
DeVale, talk to the people who wrote these pieces, the people who want to have you listen to them and ask them.
Or for the love of God, they've shown that they have the resources to even hire consultants, for God's sakes. Like, if that's what you have to do, like, do it. But, this has been some of the worst PR that Wizards has received, and I don't know how, since maybe Chandra and Nissa, maybe even worse than that.
I would argue it's a little worse. I mean, particularly with the climate and everything. I mean, look, April 3rd, 2018, on the Blogatog, someone said, I have to ask, you say representation is important for WotC, but why are the R&D credited in the design and development articles overwhelmingly white men? To which the response was, it's a problem we recognize and are working to solve.
Good.
And we're a couple years in, so like we can do this. And I know that Wizards sort of wants to do this. You know what I mean? Like, and it's been written in different ways where people are like, I know the individuals in Wizards, okay? And all those individuals need to be wonderful people who are all about fighting the good fight, being the ally, doing the right thing. But I also know, at least from my experience talking to people in Wizards, is that if you're trying to rock a boat
Yeah.
That's a bad thing.
Yeah, they want
whether it's
passionate people that won't rock the boat.
And that's a problem when you're trying to implement change, particularly on the scale, because you have to, this is what we mean when we say things like institutional racism, is that at the very foundation, you've created an environment where people don't feel comfortable to speak up. And so if no one's going to speak up, you would look at that and say, no one had any questions. Like, we're doing great. And it's like, they're terrified. And so the first step is creating a culture where people feel welcome enough to say, that they feel uncomfortable or that they've had bad experiences or that they want to change things. Because if you can't even overcome that, you're never going to get anywhere. Right. And so it has to start from the foundation.
And to address our question from chat, they're not going to take away every card that has protection from black and protection from white.
No,
that has much more to do with names,
things
and
with racial,
with,
historical connotations that are just a little bit not okay.
So your mass calcifies are going to be safe because calcium is white. Like, that's
it's fine. I mean, ultimately, I'm just, for me, I'm just concerned because I understand, like, you don't want to be labeled, the problem employee, the one who starts all the crap and the one who causes the issues.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too, is that, so let's say they remove the first hurdle, which is make the environment more welcoming and make people feel like they can speak up. Well, then it's usually the minorities that are labeled as aggressive, diva, bitch. You very rarely do you see like a white employee call these things. And so, even if you do speak up, okay, you've cleared, level 1, if you will. Well, now there's level 2 of, okay, so now people have the freedom to speak up. They feel comfortable to speak up. What are they going to face when they actually do it? And so there's a lot of work to do here at very, very ingrained levels. And I hope that they're able to accomplish that.
Sure. So this is obviously ongoing, and this update for Wizards banning cards and artwork and stuff just happened this evening, and as at least sort of the line that we keep hearing is baby steps is the first thing we're going to be doing.
That
it's not the last thing we're going to be doing.
Coincidental that a whole bunch of people, and I mean, baby steps is a very common phrase, so maybe it is a coincidence. But I found it very interesting that at least a dozen people all tweeted the same link and all called it baby steps, or it was like, is this coordinated somehow?
Hey, look, it's the best description for what it is.
The
reason the show, we could have named our show Baby Steps. We named it It's a Start.
Well, Evan hasn't had babies in a while, so
that's true. Hashtag 5 baby steps.
But I mean, well, there's some good news to talk about.
We aren't done, is the point. This is a good start.
Over the weekend, and this just kind of got cobbled together in a couple of days, I was contacted by the organizers behind Battle Against Racism that ran on MTG Melee.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go?
It went super, super well.
Yeah.
They raised over $11,000, as I recall.
Blew up, yeah.
Yeah, which was super great. Over $3,400 in prizes. And this is also one of those times where normally, when you sponsor an event like that, you want to be kind of the only one of your type to sponsor it. Does that make sense? You want to be the only card shop or the only paper card shop. But this time, like, whatever, man. Let's all make it happen. Channel Fireball's in there. We're in there. A whole bunch of other people, Card Titan and whatnot, Judge Academy, Ultra Pro, all came together for the NAACP. It was super awesome, and I loved how that went.
I was playing in Command Fest, so I didn't really get to keep up with this, but I did see the moment where Daquan Watson and I think it was Cedric got to do coverage together, and he said, is this the first time that, two black guys have done coverage together? And it was like, that's amazing. And Daquan has been invited to be on a lot of shows lately and be part of a lot of things, as he should be. He also does a show called Colors of Magic or Color of Magic. They've been getting a lot more press lately. And so it really is about just kind of highlighting these people who, frankly, have been here all along and just really haven't been getting their due or their chance.
Daquan was on Good Morning Magic today with Gavin. Hottest commodity in Magic right now. If he doesn't have a regular writing spot by the end of the business day, I'd be shocked.
There are quite a few people that, again, have been here, even in our Discord. We had kindly asked for, we're sure we're missing people. Who should we be aware of? And, we were given the names of a couple streamers and, a couple writers. And even, in response to this post by Zaiem, there were a couple people that were like, we tried for years to get writing jobs and just couldn't get in there. So, if you are watching this, go ahead and pluck these people out, really just, have discussions with them and have them on your shows and give them a chance to do something, because there's a lot of talent there that's just been untapped, no pun intended, for a long time.
Sure. And if any of them are streaming right now, we can rate them at the end of the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and I definitely want to call out good guy Channel Fireball here. Yeah. ChannelFireball.com/charity allows you to use your store credit to instead spend that money towards the Trevor Project or the World Health Organization or the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, and that allows you to donate any amount of your store credit and give you full value for that store credit that they pay out in donations, which I just want to call out is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
The way the store credit bonus stuff type works is usually because, you're getting store credit to buy stuff at the store, and, because they run the store, they get an amount of value off the products they're selling you, and that's how all these things work. Well, they're giving full value for these charitable donations, and that is awesome and commendable, and high five and good job.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. So let's keep rocking and rolling here. If I can find the document. There it is. Okay. Well, Erin, you have to tell us about the online Command Fest.
Yeah, so I got to participate in the Command Fest online this weekend, which was the first of its kind. Command Fest had been paper events prior to that which shall not be named. And I was a little unsure of what this was going to be like. I didn't know if it was going to have the same demand. I didn't know if people were going to be interested. And it was just as busy as I remember. Channel Fireball put on a really good show. They had a partnership with a website called Spell Table, which is a like a conference call like service specifically for Magic the Gathering that you can play Magic on. You have the ability to, there's life totals in there. You can label who your commander is. You can readjust the panels. One of the struggles of playing paper webcam Magic is a lot of these online services are just so strained with everybody using them, like Zoom and like Discord and like Whereby, that it's really hard to just find a stable service to play webcam Magic. And Spell Table seems to be filling that void quite nicely. I've had a lot of really good experiences on it. You can route your webcam through that, your audio through that. They had a bot where you could enter in the level in terms of how powerful your decks were, and it would open a room for you and give you the link. And so I spent the whole day just in Twitter, like, I need 2, I need 3, I need 1.
I saw you in the Discord, yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
And so I made sure to get all of our listeners who were interested. I played about 7 games throughout the day.
Like hanging out at the Y looking for pickup games.
You know me, I'm always on the hunt. But I got to play with somebody from Scotland and Germany, and everybody was super lovely. I got to see so many decks. The only real, I guess, wrench you could say in the whole thing, and I think it'll always be an issue with Commander, is just the discussion of power levels again. You know, people who, they did try to create this system or this graph of power levels, but, there were still a number of games where you jump into what you think is going to be a game of 5s, and you're running with, 8s, or, and so just really having those. I was really happy that in all of my games, we had the discussions beforehand of, my deck has tutors, my deck has an infinite combo, this is how my deck wins, and so I didn't really run into that too much, but I did see some of that on Twitter of people who'd been thrown into random games and been like, I shouldn't have been here.
Yeah, I mean, Commander is a lot more like D&D, in my opinion, where you need to have that conversation of, why are we sitting here at the table together? What kind of fun are we looking to have with this game system that enables fun?
Yeah.
But if you're here to have a super serious, dour, noir D&D campaign, and I'm here for just lols, right? If I'm here to just troll and pull people's pants down, we're not going to have a fun game, right? So it's the same conversation you have at the Commander table every single time.
Yeah, and so they've already said there's going to be no more events for the rest of the year. I think they could have absolutely done this for 2 days. I think there's absolutely still room for them to do one more, maybe in December, do like a semi-annual thing. But from my experience, this was pretty well attended.
Yeah, it seemed like a super good thing to do. It feels like the last bastion, or at least one of the last bastions of Commander, is for a website like EDH Rec to tell you what your power level is.
Interesting.
Well, so here's the thing, though. So I saw an analogy on Twitter that was that kind of described Commander decks in terms of cars, where it's like you can have a Maserati and drive it like a Sunday driver, or you can have a beat up Pinto and drive it like you're in Fast and the Furious. Yeah. So, I think the power level is just one layer to it. It's all really how you pilot it. I had a couple games where, they could have killed us on turn 4, but they were like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pull that punch. I'm going to keep this game going. So I think power level is part of it. It's also how you choose to pilot it is the other thing.
Right. But at the same time, I'd also understand that if, you have a deck that EDH Rec, for example, says is a 9, you can drive it like a 2, but you have a 9 whether you like it or not. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. So the SCG Tour apparently is coming online. Reuben, you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. So the SCG Tour, obviously the preeminent third-party tournament series for Magic the Gathering, is coming to Magic Online. They're going to start running events.
Well, Magic Arena.
Sorry, Magic Arena.
Yes.
Which is, they got to do something, right?
Yeah.
All of the events have been canceled. They
Ain't important a storm.
Exactly. And so good on them for organizing a tournament series. I don't know much about the details of what this entails, but there's been quite a bit of excitement around it because it's stuff to do.
I was just going to say, Star City's proven they know how to run events, and so, I think this is going to be a big hit. I'm just looking at it now. A lot of historic, a lot of standard, a lot of store credit being given away, which is nice, so that when we can play events again, you can buy those singles that you need. Historic has been getting a lot of good attention lately as being just a great format right now.
And, of course, coverage, which is huge. You get your Star City Games coverage.
Dear Wizards, could we please get a spectator mode in Magic Arena sooner
Spell
than
Table
later?
needed one too. That was something I was a little bummed by, was that people couldn't watch our games.
Yeah, and I've actually dug into that a little bit. The way that Spell Table works is that it sends your video feed directly to your opponents. So every person in the channel makes you send all of your video to everybody at the same time. So if there's 4 people watching and 4 people playing, you're sending out 8 video feeds.
Okay,
and so,
that makes sense.
So your bandwidth dies. Okay. And that's just kind of how the service works, essentially.
Yeah. Cool.
But there was another new show come out for Sheldon Minery that was announced.
Yeah.
So this is, Thursdays at 11 a.m.?
Yeah, we don't know too much about it. There was a bit of a promo of just kind of like an empty chair, but I mean, it's Sheldon Menery. Like, if you
it's
give
Sheldon
him a microphone,
Menery, and you could hear Jeremy Knoll doing the voiceover.
Yeah.
If you watch the promo, you know that Jeremy's going to have his fingers all over this. He's the best in the business. That's a good show.
Speaking of Jeremy, if you get a chance, you should watch the latest Commander Versus episode that came out today, because he's playing my She-Ray deck, and he makes me very, very proud. He did fairly well with it, and so I'm pleased as punch that he picked my. It was so funny because he had sent me. I knew he was recording the episode, and he had initially sent me a DM that was like, "Can I see your list?" And then he was like, "Oh, I like this card. Oh, I like that card." And then he was like, "Can I just play your deck?" And I was like, me? Yeah. So he gave me a little bit of a shout out, and I'm just super happy to see something I built on camera like that.
I'm just excited to see Star City Games interested in non-versus series content again. Just a little shade. Just a little shade. It's been like 8 years. Just a little shade.
Just a small amount, just enough. All right, well, Arena Cube draft is coming on June 12th. That's a couple days from now. Cube draft on Arena.
I'm excited.
I'm definitely excited with real people. It's no longer against some bots or whatever. This is real people cube drafting. I am pumped. I'm a little sad. Just a smidge sad that we know for a fact they have things like swords of like fire and ice and swords of light and shadow in the program. We've played with them before in decks, and they are not in this cube, and that makes me sad. No, you don't. Oh, okay. It's virtual, just like the Magic Online stuff.
Okay, like the Phantom drafts.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Like
I have really good news though to Fairy Time Raveler, not in the Arena Cube.
Whew.
They didn't put that one into the Arena Cube, which I'm very excited about.
Only Hero of Dominaria.
I mean, that's fine.
Which is still a very good card.
Yeah.
It's all good. But yeah, Cube Draft in any form is a excellent time in Magic, and I am pumped. Willie Edel, friend of the show, awesome dude all around. I'm going to put this link in the chat. He made a documentary. He filmed a documentary last December, and of course this was before everything terrible happened.
Right.
And their plan was to premiere it at their big event in 2020, which was supposed to happen yesterday, which shows a little bit of the LatAm community and why representation matters. And it has English subtitles. It is, I believe, in Spanish or Portuguese. I'm not sure. Yeah, but you can get subtitles so you can know what they're saying. Really cool look at what Magic looks like around the world.
Shout out to the LatAm community, who really has just taken it upon themselves to just do what they need to do. That community has been so underserved by Wizards in terms of the number of events and the rewards that they receive, and they're just being the change that they want to be in the world. They're like, okay, if we're not going to get your events, we're going to go ahead and make our own events.
Yep.
And you've seen LGSs come forward and create their own series, like their own Star City circuit. If they're not going to get the press, damn it, they're going to make their own press. And so just seeing the determination here, which is a shame because they shouldn't have to do this. They should have, a number of events, and they should have tournament support, and they should have press. Right. It's a shame that they have to do this, but when they do rise to the occasion, their events are top notch. This seems like it's going to be top notch. And so I'm just really proud of all of them. Working with the Card Hoarder Brazil was one of the highlights of my Magic career. I have so much love for those guys. I love all of our Brazilian fans and friends, and I will absolutely be watching this.
Goodness gracious. Moving forward here, I'm going to move on to Desperate Ravings, unless you guys have very strong feelings otherwise. Because we've got a lot to talk about.
I don't feel strongly about anything.
No. Well, I don't, because we hear about it on YouTube all the time. So
on Monday morning, or Monday, I think it was either morning, maybe early afternoon.
Yes, the first of the cards that were banned this week.
Yes, the first of them. Wizards came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now, there are goods and bads to saying there's going to be a ban and suspension update in a week, and then it happens a week later. Mm-hmm. And there's good things about saying it happens, and by God, it's going to be there in 3 hours, because that's kind of what happened with Winota. Joiner of Forcers has been emergency suspended in Historic. Remember, suspended means you don't get wild cards, but it also means they can be unsuspended, like Field of the Dead, which is actually legal now in Historic, so that's kind of cool. But if they ban it, you'll get wild cards.
Winota's
it's
been
fine.
Showing up in all sorts of formats. There was a 5-0 in Legacy with the Winota deck. There was a 5-0 in Vintage.
So stupid.
With the Winota deck. People are finding all sorts of dumb things to do with her. Usually wrapped up in a prison deck. You play like your Chalices, your Blood Moons, your Blood Suns, and then you play this with Angrass Marauders, and you just have a really good time. Usually with a Goblin. I got to do this with Legion. The one
Legion
from,
Loyalist?
No. The newer one from Guilds of Ravnica. The one with Mentor.
Oh, yeah, the Goblin, right?
I got a couple triggers off of that.
No, the 3-mana 2/2 that makes a 1/1.
The Legion Boss or something.
Yeah, Legion
War
Boss.
War Boss, there you go.
You should know your goblins.
I thought you were talking about a 1-drop. I'm sorry. You're like, it's a goblin, it does a thing.
But I got a couple triggers off that because the goblin tokens would attack, trigger Winota, and it was like, oh, this is pretty awesome. So I get it. It's a sweet card.
The fact that, look,
the card's absurd.
How many times have we been here? If it says it's going to put something into play without paying mana cost, I don't care if it's a ham sandwich. Y'all got to be careful, y'all.
Yeah,
because
of
it
course
looks at
Erin
6
loves
cards.
Winota. It dredges.
Of
It's ridiculous.
course I love Winota because she folds the Containment Priest. I can't.
Oh my goodness. It's crazy. How many times we have to be like, A, you're looking at too many cards, and B, you're putting them into play for free no matter what they cost.
So
Every
stupid.
freaking single time we've had so many problems with cards just exactly like this. And then it gets into this weird, like, what makes humans but not, or what makes soldiers but not human soldiers to try to, trigger it the right way, like raise the alarm and stuff.
Yep.
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't, like, just looking back, Winota feels like a weird mistake. It doesn't, who is this card for? What are we doing? I get it was kind of cute,
we need small
but like,
non-humans and massive humans.
Yes.
Makes no
Angrass Marauders,
sense.
I ain't getting those wild cards back, even if you do banner.
Man.
Now, the difference between suspension and banning, by the way, is that suspended, you get no wild cards and they may unban her later, whereas banned is like, we're pretty well committed. We're pretty pot committed to this is gone for good. But anyway, moving on here, we spoke last week about mythic markets. And let me tell you, if you want to have an entertaining time, I enjoyed Alpha Investments' Rudy going over a half hour about how insanely awful this service is for you, and it was hilarious. And LSV has got into a plane and taken off away from these people. He opened the cards for fun. It was sponsored in a way that, like, I don't know, VPN sponsors videos or whatever. He didn't even keep the cards. He deleted the video. This is ridiculous. He's out. No, get in spaceship. No. And he's just gone. Like, just out.
Disappeared faster from the internet than that Critical Role sponsored by Wendy's special. Yeah, just nowhere to be seen anymore. Wild.
Just do not, please don't put your money in this. It is so bad. I haven't. It was ridiculous because we went over this 6 months ago. If you're getting deja vu, it's because we talked about this and we said this was ridiculous and silly and crazy, and here we are.
I said I didn't understand it, and I stand by that. So.
Well, there you go. For those who play Commander, there's a big rules update coming.
Yeah, so they snuck this in during Command Fest. There were some panels, and the rules committee got together, and they made it official that commanders will now trigger upon dying or going to exile.
Right.
It will trigger before heading to the command zone. I was surprised how many people were already playing with this rule, and like their local pods are at home, and so they were like, way to catch up, idiot. But this does seem to be a big deal. This is something people have been asking for a long time. There was a bit of a spike in terms of Alenda and Kokusho. Those cards, got bought out pretty quickly after this, and so just a really good change. I don't know anybody who disagreed with this, and like I said, it was something we were already doing. So,
I played.
Thanks.
So has this always been the rule? Because
It's an R&D restraint. One of the things Rosewater said was that they don't have death triggers on legendary creatures.
And even Ethan Fleischer, who works for Wizards,
so weird
had
because
tweeted something to the effect of, now that this rule is gone, we can give you guys like more interesting legendaries, and so that's cool.
My buddy Levi had a Child of Alara 5-color value deck. We always played that when it died, it triggered.
And that's always the beauty of a kitchen table, buddy. Like it's okay.
I didn't realize that this was a rule change until they announced it. I had no clue, none whatsoever, and so I'm glad that my reality works again. Yay!
There you go. Well, moving on here, bouncing around here to Brandon Burton, who is a person with a disability, goes by the name of Sandy Dog, and had tried to apply for the Creator Program. And as he suffers from cerebral palsy, doesn't usually
suffer. He has cerebral palsy.
He has cerebral palsy, my apologies. But regardless, he has that condition, and so as a result, doesn't always show a cam, doesn't always have a microphone on, but he plays hella good Magic. He's a great Magic player. And got rejected. And then later got unrejected.
Which was like in a really weird way. So there was this associate influencer manager who nobody's really ever heard of before. And he basically says like, we didn't know it was you. You're in. And people were just like, really? And so that prompted some conversation as to, who's really behind this program? Do they really know the community, when they make these decisions? And this was really a shame because, we talk about representation matters. And usually when we talk about it in regards to, black folks and LGBT folks and women, but, accessibility is also a thing. And, Brandon was really one of the first to perform at a high level, in a wheelchair with cerebral palsy, with his mom helping him. And I don't think it's a coincidence that once he broke out, I started seeing more people at events with family helping them, in wheelchairs. And so he really was a trailblazer in that regard. And just to see him kind of disregarded like this because his stream wasn't pretty, or he's not yelling in your face and doing the blah. I mean, it was a disappointment where it's like, this is Brandon Burton. Like,
not every streamer has to scream at you and be loud and have all kinds of crap all over the screen.
There's got to be room for a GP winner who's in the Hall of Fame of best MTGO grinders of all time. Like, there's got to be room for that person.
Yeah, so I was really glad, things have kind of been a dumpster fire lately, but it was really great to see. I mean, even Free Magic was on board with this. Like what does it say when the community's all together on something where it's we all feel this should happen? Like,
give that boy an account, come on, for real. I'm going to bounce here through to Splash Damage, if you guys are okay with that.
I'm always okay with everything.
The War of the Spark trailer.
I never argue about anything, ever.
If you recall, and I think it was just 100% universal, we all loved the War of the Spark trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Was that was the in the end? It doesn't even matter?
Yeah, that was the Liliana and the child and all this other stuff. Yeah. And absolutely fantastic. It won a Royal Television Society Award for animation and VFX.
Nice.
as
Good.
it should have.
Yeah.
It was a fantastically put together trailer.
Dope.
Quite frankly, while I think Thrones was pretty good, I don't think they've gotten close to what War of the Spark achieved, just emotionally, you know?
Yeah, they definitely used up a lot of the resources, and you can tell because the Theros Beyond Death one was very disappointing, and so this was leagues apart from the others, and I think it had to be too. I don't think you could have had such a monumental event like War of the Spark and have it not be emotional and not bring you in.
I still can't believe how bad that Theros trailer was. It was.
It was really
woof. It did no good things, unfortunately.
And the Throne trailer still is like.
It's silly.
It's so beloved.
I thought it was brilliant. Yeah,
I know,
Yeah.
it's so beloved, and I'm just like, what is happening? Like, what am I? Did I accidentally eat psychedelics? Like, is what I thought when I saw that trailer.
Yeah, it is crazy. Moving on here, there was a Magic set that was designed in the 90s, and Rosewater has talked about this multiple times, where it was called Spectral Chaos, and a lot of the mechanics and the things that we have today actually showed up in Spectral Chaos before it showed up anywhere else, and it's really interesting. This is available at Chaos Orb, thechaosorb.com/Spectral Chaos. I'll put a link here in the chat. It's in the show notes, and this is sort of a hub for old school Magic enthusiasts. Is sort of how they brand the site itself, and the set's around 450 cards, 429 original card designs plus some extras. This person, as far as I know, went sort of a deep dive. He went to go find some artwork and make sure all the artwork was attributed. He wanted to make sure that all the cards were updated to the right wording, because back in the day there was bury versus destroy and all this other stuff.
Right.
And so to get those to the modern wording, a lot of work has been put into this just to see sort of this weird multicolor set that was designed back in the day when the only multicolor set was Legends.
Yeah.
Like, that was it. So this thing in and of itself was
thing.
designed by Barry Reich. Remember Barry's Land?
Yes.
They talked about Barry's Land for a long time. This is the Barry. That's that
This
guy.
is the Barry from Barry's Land?
Yes. So that's awesome. So this thing goes super deep, way back in the day. It's one of those things where if you wanted to go and actually see the set itself, I think it's already spoiled somewhere, but like not with the new wordings, not with the new artwork that they went
now,
and found.
is this a product?
No, because they get sued to hell and back.
Okay.
But what it is a really cool experiment in magic design and what magic design could have been or could have seen back in the
I was just
late
confused.
90s.
I didn't know what we were talking about. But yeah,
That's
this
all
thing
good.
is super cool.
Seems
Yeah.
to be a theme tonight.
Listen,
Tell you what.
I'm the talent.
All right. He is the talent. All right. And one last thing here. The Twitch music guidelines showed up. Good luck having those DJ streams anymore.
Yikes.
They came for everybody. And this had been a rule that had always been there. Like, we all knew it was wrong to be playing copyrighted music, and we did it anyway. And then just recently, I think I even saw a clip where some poor guy was live.
Yeah.
And they were like, boop. And
DCMA
so Gabby
takedown.
Sparks had to go through her, because they were not only watching, they were not only checking on live streams, they were going for clips.
Yep.
They were going for
They're coming for your
VODs.
clips. Yep.
Yeah, and so I've seen so many streamers that were like, I have to go through my entire freaking catalog now.
And some people have like 100,000 clips or something.
And hope
ridiculous.
to
Jesus.
God. Yeah, and it's been so strange too, like just going through and I've hopped in on a couple streams that normally, I don't think Caleb D's changed a thing. Like, I think he's still doing his thing, but
come on,
I've seen
bro.
a number of people that their streams are a lot quieter now. It's like they don't know what to do. They're like,
What's gonna happen to Booty Mashup?
Tell you what.
What am I gonna do on Fridays?
oh my God.
Man, Caleb D is deleting all clips tomorrow. That's kind of sad. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those like weird things. There's a fork in the road here, okay? The one fork is go through every clip, delete them all to hell, and never see them ever again. And the other option is go through these clips and then take some amount of the revenue that was generated, that Twitch is making, because Twitch makes money when the streamer
Right.
makes money too. Twitch could pay for this licensing or for some amount of licensing
Right.
for these songs. That is a possibility, but instead they're just like, nope, banhammer, slam down the iron fist to get out of here. I think you could work with the music industry to make this happen, but it's not easy and it would take a lot of time.
Yeah.
So instead, let's just ban everything, delete everything. It's fine, whatever. All right, move on here, turning the corner to the finisher. This week, we checked Third Amendment, Bon Appetit, Mitt Romney, Anarchist Rebel, Autonomous Zones, Duck Army, and actual Harry Potter hero, actual Harry Potter, off on our 2020 bingo cards. But we're only just barely halfway through the decade that has been this year. So with 6 months somehow still left in this godforsaken year, what box are you expecting to fill in with your ink dauber next, Reuben?
Well, as a Jewish person, I was hoping for some more Old Testament hints, the classics. We did get our plague of locusts in Pakistan, and there's always been cattle disease to deal with. But where's the frogs, the boils, the plague of the firstborn? The one I expect to actually happen next is the 7th plague, hail and fire. Because until we get the militarization of the police under control, we're going to keep getting hailed on and fired at.
Ouch, Erin.
I don't know. I'm a bit disappointed. I thought the end of the world, the fall of civilization, the actual apocalypse wouldn't be quite so, I don't know, dumb. This apocalypse is stupid.
It is
so I'm going to go ahead and predict something that I would like to see. Evan makes a new forgotten lore, because the world's gone crazy if that ever happens. Like, where's that?
The days!
Where's that?
All right, okay. The 7
you ain't
seals
going
are...
nowhere. Go ahead and record another one. Yeah.
That's fair. The 7 seals are opening.
You ain't baking bread. You can make a forgotten lore.
And the signs of the apocalypse are all around us. The trumpet's sounding, the pale horse, the whole bit. And I don't know about you, but Armageddon, get out of here. But Armageddon out of here?
Armageddon out of here.
That's so
Armageddon out of here. I'm sorry. So I'm excited for the actual, factual, capital R rapture to get all the stiffs out of here and leave the place for me and my friends.
That's right. Nothing but us sinners still on the planet.
That's right. Whoop, whoop. Us despicables. We got it. Well, look, that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Erin.
Thank you for having me, and be good to each other.
Thank you, Reuben.
Thank ye kindly, good sir. Aye.
Goodness gracious. We're going to move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsor, CardHoarder.com, my co-host, Aaron Campbell, and Reuben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening. I hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMikesPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMikesPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes and Spotify, or join us here next week. Same time, same place for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.